Broadcasting live from the backstretch at Saratoga, this is the Handicappers Report. Brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report, coming to you live from the backstretch of Saratoga Race Course, day 3, our first Saturday of the meet. And I can report at 9 o'clock in the morning, it is a beautiful morning alongside Nelson Avenue in the 7 furlong chute. You see Clare Court behind us. We've had some entertainment this morning. Perhaps we'll get one or two to go by during the show, but I am joined as per usual. I think this is day 83 in a row for you and me. Seth Merrow. Seth, good morning.
Good morning.
I think we have to first stop the train, though, because our boss killed it yesterday.
Oh.
I mean, killed it.
Yeah.
2 days in a row, capital between Kevin Cox and our boss. How about this? And I teased about this. So yesterday, our boss, who's one of the leading factors of how we do this, has a $71 winner, has about $80 worth of winners, and loses in the TU 2-3. So our column is over $100 already, and so far Capital is losing 1-0-1, and we've won both days by a mile the money. So that's always been my central argument. But congratulations to Mr. Ferraro, who put over Disco Dino at better than $70. So we had a $91 winner on day 1, given out by Kevin Cox, the Brooklyn Cowboy. And yesterday we get, I think, 71 on the nose dollar winner given out by Boss Man.
And Brooklyn Cowboy.
And the Brooklyn Cowboy, who crushed it. I mean, tremendous. Those are high water marks to chase, because those are the high water marks I like to chase. But kudos to the team off the bat. But we're losing. Somehow we're losing in the Times Union.
And putting the pressure on me, because I will apologize for my man. I have been treading water. It's like I feel like I'm just not plugged in.
Hold on a second. You are a veteran of this game. Treading water is the equivalent. I know you don't play golf. Is the equivalent to like a 24 handicapper in golf getting a par. That is to be commended. Treading water in this game is great, like, to be still in it, because it's like, that's good. This is a hard game.
Well, okay, then I've been underwater.
All right, now that's different, because treading water is good. Like,
but
you're waiting for that low roller handicapper. They're going to have them this year?
There is no low roller this year,
no?
Unfortunately.
That's like the greatest thing ever.
I know. I got the word a couple days ago, unfortunately.
I guess it was too successful.
It certainly was, yeah. So
great idea.
Yeah, we'll see.
Oh, darn. But go ahead.
But yeah, I came into the first 2 cards. I didn't come in with I didn't feel like I was going to knock it out of the park, but I also didn't feel like I was completely mystified. But as it turned out, I was completely mystified. I've had a couple of winners so far, but
I took the bagel yesterday. I got to tell you, I tiptoe into the meet early.
But
do you have great expectations early? I never do.
I just have this kind of just the same expectations to, betting wise. I'm totally, and I've run into people over on the front side. I think it's smart, keep the powder dry a little bit early and just kind of see what's going on. But yeah, I just haven't had a feel. So apologies for the pick so far, but we'll see if we can do a little bit better today.
I've always wondered. I've never been in this seat. I've been in this seat in the Breeders' Cup, but the Breeders' Cup is only 2 days, and that is, what happens if you crush it with these horizontals, which I don't play too much, or really don't. I don't know what it's like to be the number doesn't matter, but let's say you hit your goal by the 7th race on opening day of your net. I'm like, I just can't imagine how good that feels. The only thing I ever have good feeling, people tease me about the horses I pick against. I picked against Gimme all the time, right? Well, finally, in the Breeders' Cup, I got my day. Pletcher's, what was this? Sophia Bella just chased her, drilled her. And I got the exacta with CC and Edgeway, takes care of the whole vacation. The rest of the day, Breeders' Cup Day, I'm like, but that's just one day. But somebody that crushes it early and just is on easy street, that must be like the greatest feeling in the world. I'm like, so because we had the carryover in the pick six, 116 going into yesterday, had the $71 winner. I mean, Al Stahl on pace to win 40 this year. So one of the easiest people in the world to root for. They call him Little Al because of his dad, but he's about 6'1" or 6'2". But Al Stahl, who is it's funny because like Al Stahl, is kind of a contemporary of ours, and he's taller than us, but remember when he had a full head of brown hair, so we've been around here a long time. But Al Stahl, congratulations, another one. And one other thing I want to bring up, because I don't think it qualifies as a pet peeve. If you say it is, I accept that. I don't, but I talk about how I don't trust, and I would say you should not trust the timing of turf races when the rails are up. I believe that wholeheartedly. Now, here's an example. And David Aragona brought this up on his Twitter feed. Not only is he the world's best morning line odds giver, he's tremendous on Twitter, but he talked about how in the Clever Mischief race, which was race 3 yesterday, mile 16th inner turf, and as become normal around here, the rails are up at the beginning of the meet. And I'll touch on that more when we get to the Diana. So Equibase, who is supposed to be the keeper of stats, doesn't even have a fourth quarter stat. David posted that he has a fourth quarter stat and that the fourth quarter was run in 21:75, which no one, I think, would believe. And if that is accurate, that meant that this maiden special weight came home in about 27 seconds, which no one believes. And I've had this thought, like, I don't think that's a pet peeve. I think that's so my argument always is, should you post times that you have no confidence in, or are they, whomever they are, they believe that these times are right and they're the only people in the room that think they're right?
Well, didn't you say Equibase left it out?
Well, I don't believe the other fractions Equibase has in here. 51.31 to the half. I don't believe any of them.
Okay.
But I'm like, and I've talked to some people. Nobody I know that follows racing regularly thinks that the teletimer is right. Tom Durkin used to have the great line. The opening quarter is posted in 27.23. If you couldn't figure out what he was saying, well, maybe you shouldn't drive to the track or bet. But, does that qualify as a pet peeve, or is that like something like that's a legitimate
Well,
thing?
I think pet peeves can be legitimate as well. I just, and we've talked about it before, I just don't know, and it's true at all tracks, really, when they move their rails. I don't know why they do it that way, so I don't really have I would love to hear the explanation as to why it isn't accurate or can't be more accurate. And I don't know what it is, so it's hard to.
They don't want to do it.
Yeah,
they got a man to the moon.
But is it like it's going to cost us $5 million to put in this different system? And
call the Olympic people up. I don't think it costs $5 million. And by the way, there are people that, and I can't measure this, are doubtful about the distances.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing with horse racing too, the run-ups and whatnot.
That makes people that don't follow the game crazy. Like, what do you mean it's not a 6 furlong race? It says it's a 6 furlong race.
Coming out. A couple of tracks have
we're
gone
moving.
To
we're moving.
Coming out of the gate.
We're moving to it.
So it'll be interesting.
It'll be right up there with penny breakage.
Get a little data on those stats. But yeah, so
is penny breakage a pet peeve of mine? You
and Pat Cummings, I guess.
But I don't get it. It's like, who's against it? Besides, no one does it. Who's against it?
That's another one.
Does anybody stand up and say, no, we don't want the bettors to have their money?
That's another one, though. I don't know. I would, like here in New York, is there a legislative process that has to be undergone?
Well, we run on Palm Sunday.
Yeah, Yeah, barely. That only took how many years? But so we'll see. I wanted to touch on also stakes performances yesterday. I thought Miss Justify looked very good. Twirling. Hope to have Jose D'Angelo on loose on the lead tomorrow.
We might actually have back-to-back winners of the Wilton into the Alabama. I mean, I don't know how this is going to play out, but I've said this before. There's been 2 times in my life now that I've absolutely believed the trainer, and referring to Ken McPeak, and I think he has the 3-year-old filly. In my opinion, I don't usually say this, but with the nature of racing now today, where I think Seth, the idea is Saratoga to the Breeders' Cup. I think Torpedo Anna is about 9 or 10 furlongs away from wrapping up the 3-year-old filly championship. But Miss Justify was very good yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say the last race was won by Frankie Dettori, and he pulls into the winner's circle, and he's kind of sitting there, and
we're waiting.
The crowd is all like, and he gives the flag to, yeah. And I feel for the guy because I think it'll probably be that way the whole meet, and I wouldn't want to be leaping off.
I look at it this way.
I don't know whether he'll do it, but I think it was funny a couple of months ago down the Keeneland, they didn't do it, and the crowd outside the winner's circle was like, oh, come on.
I look at that as the way, I know you don't follow baseball very much, but a lot of times when a player plays for a team for a long time and they're pretty good and they get traded, when they come back, the first at-bat, they usually get a standing ovation. The catcher usually leaves the area. They get their moment. After that, that's it. It's on. So Frankie gave us that one, and now it's like, folks, that's it. You should have been there.
Or a stakes race, maybe.
A big one, something like that. Race, you know what I liked? I was talking about this opening night with a couple of gentlemen. Is last year, not this most recent Ascot meet, he got the carriage ride in. I thought that was one of the best things in sports in 2023 that, Frankie Dettori got to ride in I think it was carriage number 4. He got to come in to Royal Ascot after all of his years of greatness.
Of course, at that point, he was still on the retirement tour.
Yeah.
And that took a detour.
The semi-retirement tour.
Which is going to be fun for us up here this summer.
Is it definitely a Steve Bick tie day?
Yes. Oh, yeah. When I put it on this morning.
You go out last night?
I was going to, and then I had to go home to get these guys some information for the.
You have a curfew these days at your age?
No, but I've said it many times. Going home is a bad at my age, because then you sit on the couch and it's kind of
it's over. It's over. Day's over.
So maybe tonight.
I go directly into the kitchen, which is my office this time of year, where it's a very firm seat. Not comfortable at all to fall asleep. Any other business to get to?
Well, I will touch on. I handed it to you because the guys yesterday emailed me, and I handed you at the top of the show and let you read it. And if Duke is out there watching, we got your email. We appreciate it. Duke from downstate watches us on YouTube, which has been a great change for us over, what's it been, maybe 3 or 4 years now on
but
YouTube.
It seems to be really, like many places, YouTube is growing.
Yeah, and our viewing audience used to be for years and years and years, 30 miles around Albany on the cable systems. And now YouTube and the Roberts RTN, we're on there as well. You can catch us on Roku. But a lot of people watch on YouTube if they aren't in the area here. And Duke was watching downstate and gave us a nice thumbs up. Duke, we really appreciate it. The two of us here and the guys in the control room all appreciated it.
I told you a story in Philadelphia, didn't I, one time?
No.
I'm early morning at a golf course, like very early morning. I'm standing there. I don't know anybody. Nobody knows me. Guy comes up to me and goes, "Hey, I like your work." I'm looking around. I'm like, I think you have me confused with somebody. He goes, "No, you're the guy that does the horse racing work in Saratoga, right?" I go, "Well, I am one of those guys." He goes, "No, I take a week off every year and I go to Saratoga and you're the guy." I said, "I am that guy. I can't believe we're here together at 7 a.m. at an obscure sporting event and you make me." And I'm like in a ball cap and I don't look anything like this. But I was like, and I only that's how our audience has has grown through the years. So,
yeah. Let me hit on the promos as well. Don't forget, online entry still open. Both of these until tomorrow. I think they both close right around noontime tomorrow. Play of the day bankroll team will be selected. Go to the Capital OTB website, click on the promotions link, look for that slate. You click on that, you'll find an entry form. So again, you have until tomorrow to jump in there. And also my Sunday pick 3 bankroll, that is also open. The play of the day bankroll team goes the entire meet. And Kevin Cox hit his play of the day yesterday.
Oh,
so day
it's like
2,
shooting fish in a barrel.
The bankroll is already off to a good start. So that one goes the whole meet. The pick 3 bankroll will be every Sunday. So that will open up a new team every Friday. And every Sunday we'll have a new team for the pick 3 play of the day. But both of those are open right now down at the Clubhouse Racebook today. It is a brand new contest. It looks like a lot of fun. The King of the Hill. If you want to go down to the Clubhouse Racebook and enjoy your racing down there today, you can do so. 711 Central Avenue in Albany, and try out the new King of the Hill contest. Bounty bet today. Don't forget the bounty bet during Saratoga will go on Saturdays, and given the fact that there are a number of races typically, there may be more than usual pick 5s. It will be the final pick 5, the late pick 5 here at Saratoga. Just play today with your Capital OTB bet account, and you're in for a shot at the bounty. So again, lots of fun stuff coming up at Capital OTB.
Do you have an early feel for your?
No, I haven't even really looked yet.
Right.
Because I don't want to get locked into something before scratches.
No, I said feel. I didn't say you have a ticket written.
No,
you have
I didn't
feel.
I didn't even really look.
All right.
As far as
more
that,
about it tomorrow.
I've handicapped the card, but I haven't.
Right.
I didn't look in terms of that.
And as we are on a roll here at Capital, let's go to the DePaula play of the day.
It's time to think DePaula and drive for less. Pick your Chevy, pick your payment, and DePaula delivers. Or every Chevy, 0 down payment, 0 first payment, 0 security.
So come join the family and think DePaula for all your automotive needs.
Hello, everybody. Kevin Cox, the Brooklyn Cowboy, here with your DePaula play of the day from beautiful Saratoga Race Course. We'll be giving you our plays of the day on Fridays and Saturdays throughout the meet, and we'll be basing our success on a 50 to win, 30 to place, 20 to show wager for our bankroll team. This is our 3rd year doing this, and all we've done the first 2 years is win, baby, win, as we shoot for the hat trick, 3 straight profitable years. Just like yesterday, we're going to dive right into things in the day's opener with the number 3, Dare to Breeze. This Cassie Charge, scratched Thursday for this, was a lively and decently clear 3rd place finisher when starting things out down in Louisville a month ago. And the 377 Tomlinson figure tells us that the result that day was likely not an aberration. The 2 who finished directly in front of her came back to win a maiden special weight race here on opening day and finished second in the Schuylerville behind a $91 winner that we are happy to brag about we had on top. The speed figures posted by those 2 runners were a 72 and a 63, a few points higher than what our selection put up first time out. So we're definitely seeing some room for improvement this afternoon. Gal is a half to a present day 10 for 33 graded stakes place runner who has banked more than $250,000. So this one could be any kind. So once again, our DePaula play of the day is in race 1, the number 3, Dare to Breeze. And we'll see you at the races.
It's time to think DePaula and drive for less. Pick your Chevy, pick your payment, and DePaula delivers. Or every Chevy, 0 down payment, 0 first payment, 0 security.
So come join the family and think DePaula for all your automotive needs.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Handicappers Report, Saturday, number 1. Diana Stakes Day.
Got the horses working out
Yes,
behind us, as you predicted.
This production work is tremendous. We want to thank the
stop.
equine
Hold it,
athletes.
can you wait a minute? And then...
It's just great. So, in our youth, it was Whitney Day. The first Saturday, there was only 4 of them. Now there's 8 of them, Seth. And we have one of those outstanding maiden special weight restricted $50,000 going 5.5 2-year-olds.
Oh, and I will say today, of course, the highlight is the Diana and 10 o'clock today. Graham Motion will be in. He has an entrant in the Diana.
Taking on the Armada, huh?
Also, we'll talk about some of his
I
nice
think he
winners.
has a big shot.
I do too. We'll talk about some of his recent winners. Tricari, who's looked so good. But he also has some runners down at Colonial today. It's Million Preview Day down there. He's got a couple in the PevD preview, a couple of stakes runners tomorrow with Laurel. So we'll talk with Graham Motion about that. Joe Bianca, who has the Rail Talk podcast, but also part of the West Point team, will join us as well. All of that at 10 o'clock. All right, the opener today, 7, 4, 2, and 3. Mesa, California on top for me. Cold front over the last few years has been an interesting kind of under the radar, maybe win early type sire. So I thought that was intriguing. There's a lone sibling called Anna Julia Forever that won 2 of the first 4 starts of the career. So I thought there was a little bit of life there on the win early side of things to take a shot. Dare to Breeze. There was a sibling called Herd Mentality that won its career debut. This one ran very well in debut for Mark Cassie. So there's enough there to think has the potential to live up to that morning line favoritism. And then Mischief Maxi. There was a sibling. This is another one that's a second career starter, and the debut was okay, albeit with a 33 buyer. It was a close-up second, so I think the horse is interesting. And there was a sibling that was a debut winner, a sibling called Faithful King, but was a debut winner with a 24 buyer. So I'm not quite sure what to make of that whole scenario. But I went in the opener 7, 4, 2, and 3.
So you're intimating they're a little light on the buyer side.
Perhaps, yes.
Just guessing here. And, you know, about the bagel yesterday for me, just so we know, and I said this last year, on 3 Saturdays, I was 1 for 36 and still beat the meat. So I had some rough Saturdays. So digging out. We already got the bagel out of the way. 3, 6, 4. Just guessing for yours truly. Dallas Stewart has picked up the pace with in the stats for the DRF with first-time starters. I don't remember Dallas being like a double-digit gentleman, but John Velasquez takes them out on number 3. Gerland's Empire, offspring of Classic Empire, good enough for me. Number 6, Visa, going out for the second career start. Was not paid attention to at the betting windows. Wonder if maybe it was practice on debut. And then Dare to Breeze, Mark Cassie's runner, 4 to 5 in the second career start. I think we saw a Todd Pletcher runner who was a short price again. Not too great.
Oh, and that one, again, I was saying my selections were not what I would like them to be. That's when I want. And when I was in handicapping yesterday, I think I conveyed I was not thrilled about that one, and I looked and I eventually landed there. And about halfway on the far turn, I thought, oh, okay, maybe this horse is okay. And then by the time they got to the end of the far turn, I thought, no.
Replicated his final furlong in the debut to show us.
Yeah, just and wound up getting nipped at the wire for third. Wound up fourth in there. All right, second race kicks off the stakes action on this Saturday. It is the Kelso Grade 3 event, $175,000. They'll go a mile on the inner turf.
This is a race, and I know we have a handful in here. It's a strong Grade 2. Now, this is not the Kelso that Lohr somehow lost 2 out of 3 years. He ran it, the old mile at Belmont on the turf. This is the old Forbidden Apple. So, and New York breds have dominated this race. Not quite applicable in here, but an open company race that the New York breds have dominated. This is the 10th one. I think it's a terrific race. We do not seem to agree here, Mr. Seth, but that's okay, right?
Yeah.
Did I send?
Yeah,
these are not the right numbers. There's only 5 horses in the turf race.
Yeah.
What race is that? I don't have my.
That was race 12.
Okay, we'll get to race 12. I know it might seem like we might not, but we're gonna get to all.
As you said, races. We don't agree. I'm thinking we really don't agree because my number, my top pick isn't even on the field.
I was wondering if I didn't bring the entire daily racing form, which, by the way, in the old days you didn't really have to think about that when you had the newspaper. Nowadays you got to think about it. But we'll get to that. I'm 5-2-4. What are you?
I'm 4-2-5.
All right. I mean, it's a 5-horse field on the turf. Carl Spackler, I talked about it last year, how in the Hall of Fame race, he would have been, was one of the bigger win bets. I don't make very many of those, but I loved him. And then he came back in the Saranac at a far worse price, a price that's not attractive to me. But this is a tremendous horse race. This is a grade 2 leaning towards a grade 1 versus the grade 3. Carl Spackler in a tough spot coming out of the poker. But what I like is he did, the poker was a tremendous race, but he had the very good comeback race. Well, now this is the third race, not the second race. I like Carl Spackler. Mysterious Night, my second pick for a very sharp barn, and then Talk of the Nation. I'm Northern Invader, but it's what you said. You have 4-2-5.
Yeah.
So I do think that those three, kind of. This is a race where I'd be very intrigued with people that earnestly play the horizontals. Do you take the 3 or do you try and make a stand? I don't know how to play it.
I always think part of that also depends
is,
on how deep you're going in some of the other lays.
But is it like Andy Shirley says, you have to survive. You have to get through here. And
I think you probably do use them if you're
I think
going
you have to use all 3.
That's your thought process.
Yeah, because
I could
too close.
I could switch them
right,
up.
as could I.
Carl Spackler, as you mentioned, top pick for you. I put that one down in the third spot, but I could have a top pick. But
Absolutely.
as you were talking, I noted I hadn't really realized it before. 7 career starts, been favored in the last 6 of those starts. But I put Talk of the Nation on top.
One quick thing. The race he wasn't was one of the most famous turf debuts.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
That was the race.
Behind Farbridge.
That actually did turn out to be what people thought immediately.
Yeah. And again, I could have flipped it around and done otherwise, but a Talk of the Nation, also third start of the season, and I think could be primed, ran third in that poker last time. I just think this horse is sitting on potentially a nice race. Mysterious Night going out for Charlie Appleby off a United States debut in the poker, running second, and Carl Spackler. They're all coming out of the poker. I'm just looking to shake things up a little bit. We'll see how that works out. 4, 2, and 5.
And I'm not saying it's the case because obviously it's subjective. I like them. When you watch the poker, you're like, you might be wondering why Carl Spackler didn't have that extra little oomph. And I'm like, muscle regression, just the excuse I use. On to the third, 6.5 on the dirt. Vanilla Clamour's in for 50.
For the 1 entry, 2 and 7, I'm going to put Celestial Gaze on top for the aforementioned Jose D'Angelo. And again, hopefully, I schedule it for 10 o'clock tomorrow. I'm always a little leery.
Did he schedule you for 10 o'clock
I'm always a little leery a day. I'll catch up with him today and remind him again if I'm a day before.
We have fun with it. It's unbelievable stress on him, but there's so many moving parts in this game. No one's at fault. There's nothing.
And I've already had a moving part.
Yeah, you can't imagine. You almost need a lasso.
But hopefully we get him in after the nice stakes victory yesterday because he's heading on. I think he's going to come back and forth on it, but he's headed out of town early in the week. But we'll catch him tomorrow, hopefully. For the 1 entry, 2 and 7 for the D'Angelo horse on top. Comes up from Gulfstream. I think class-wise, he's going to class up okay here. They claimed him for $25,000 3 starts back, and they've run against better than that in the last 2 down at Gulfstream, including a nice win last time in an optional claim or starter allowance. I think it's going to squeeze in class-wise really nicely with this group. Put that one on top. Nelson Avenue and Top Gunner. I think they're both playable in here. Maybe off the last number, you tilt a little more towards Nelson Avenue, but Top Gunner is pretty consistent with numbers that match up with this group. So, again, I could make a case for either one of them. Poppy's Pride in the third spot going out for Orlando Noda with a little bit of positional early speed. I think will be in the mix. Will have to be, you would think, from the rail. And the rail, it to me, is going to be a little bit of a knock perhaps for this horse because if we don't get out there, might have to fight for a little bit of position. But another one class-wise that I think is going to fit, but this one's a little more of a question mark. They claim this horse 4 starts back for 10, and now they've kind of incrementally moved up and stayed competitive. But this one, as I say, a little more of a question mark on the class move. I have it 4, the 1 entry, 2 and 7.
I don't have much to add here. I had 4, 1A. I thinking about it, It's a tough play on price because if both the entry run, you're going to get bet. And I think it's one of those cases where they're almost shoulder to shoulder. You're almost getting the same help. That's probably actually a knock for 4. I took the 1A Top Gunner on the outside, more outside, going 6.5, and the 7 underneath.
Before we go to commercial, I'll hop in with the dark horse play of the day for today.
So it must be later in the card.
It is
Right.
race number 7 today. And again, thanks to our friends at the Dark Horse Mercantile and Impressions of Saratoga, downtown Saratoga. And again, I'll remind you, I had the email from Marianne down at Impressions just to update me. I was there about a week ago. They had a water pipe break in the basement of their building, and it affected the electric in the building. And so they're still working on that, but they put kind of a pop-up tent outside. So you can still stop by Impressions, but they want everybody to know that they're working, and sooner rather than later. I think I'll get Marianne and Maddie in maybe on Wednesday and let them update the situation.
It's better to be on the street now than mid-February.
Absolutely.
You got that going.
No, and I said it to them when I said it's nice you have a boulevard of sidewalks downtown Saratoga that allows them the opportunity to do that. But Dark Horse down the street, open and going, and again, they're both worth a visit. So again, thanks to the folks at Dark Horse for their sponsorship of the Dark Horse Play of the Day. Today, race number 7, horse number 1, Tough Catch. 8-1 on the morning line, going out for the aforementioned Dallas Stewart. And I'm glad you mentioned that earlier. His numbers with the firsters have gotten a little bit interesting. This horse worked 10 flat before the sale, attracted over $250,000 by Complexity, who has started to become notable as a first out sire. 14 first-time starters this year, 5 wins, a second and a third. So that attracted my attention. Now, and also I will note the workouts, and that 46 and change workout down at Churchill leading into this intriguing. A couple of win early siblings, one called Friar Lawrence that won the first 2 starts of the career, another sibling called Unique Factor won its career debut. So there is a lot of great win early stuff. I will note Dallas Stewart himself, the racing form stats are 12% with first-time starters, but if you parse it out over the last couple of years with 2-year-old first-time starters, he's 0 for 24. So I'm thinking, stats are stats, and overall he's okay with first-time starters. The 2-year-olds maybe, but I think this one is maybe a little more intriguing, and you usually are well met when you come up and start in these kind of races at Saratoga. So for me, Dark Horse Play of the Day today, race number 7, horse number 1, Tough Catch.
Take a quick break. When we come back, more from Saratoga.
For more than 4 generations, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued the 102-year tradition of delighting their local following and faithful summer crowd with the finest authentic Italian recipes. Classic Italian dishes made with the freshest ingredients, served in a home-like setting. Some things have changed in the last 102 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
It only takes one upset to make history, and now you can be part of Saratoga's long tradition at the Dark Horse Mercantile. The Dark Horse Mercantile offers a carefully curated selection of clothing, gifts, and home decor, from one-of-a-kind vintage racing memorabilia to select brands like Barber and Under Armour, as well as exclusive Dark Horse branded merchandise. So celebrate the Dark Horse in all of us at the Dark Horse Mercantile, downtown Saratoga, where the smart bet is always the Dark Horse. Welcome back.
I guess. I have my earpiece in. I have the volume up, but it's it is a visual game. So, and luckily it's your turn.
I should have jumped right in then. And for folks who don't know, usually we get a countdown. There was no count there.
And so we might as well just let the people know in case they heard parts of it.
You were dead. That is a story worth telling.
I went to Australia late January, their summer this year. Great trip. And I went to Flemington Race Course where they host the Melbourne Cup. And
high quality racing down in Australia.
Yes. So I'm there, and it's just a great day. It's summer. It's beautiful. It's like this. And up in the right-hand corner on one of the monitors from Grantville, Pennsylvania, late January night racing at Penn National.
Yeah,
what a warm and fuzzy feeling came over my heart. And I'm looking around to see if anybody else is watching this monitor with Penn National in the darkness.
That is very good.
It's a big game. It's a big game.
Penn National down in Australia. You gotta love that. Fourth race this afternoon at Saratoga. Allowance. Non-winners are one. Other than runners, they will go 7 furlongs.
5.62 in here. One of my more favorite plays of the day with Mike Maker and Luis Saez. I like the most recent effort. We end up finishing off the board at $4.39 to the dollar with a penny breakage. In Kentucky, Vinco is my second one. Dallas Stewart getting a lot of play this morning. And then the Luminaire, who Seth has on top. Brilliant in debut. Takes on winners today.
I went with the Luminaire, 2, 5, 3, and 4. And you may be right. I mean, this is, I always say when you move up a condition, the waters get a little bit deeper and sometimes it'll take a start to figure it out. But boy, it certainly looked very, very good in debut. The workout on June 26th is pretty good. The workout on July 5th, to me, is even better. So I think the horse is holding some decent form. Irad Ortiz elects to stick, obviously, and Luminaire looks good. Abaddon, I have in the second spot. That race 2 back down at Churchill was certainly one you could kind of take a look at and feel good about. And then Classic Legacy in the third spot. Bill Mott trainee, I think is good enough to mix it up in here. Raced up here a few weeks ago and went the mile. I like to cut back from that to the 7 furlongs to maybe move this horse forward. And on a best effort, might wind up being the one to beat. But in the fourth, 2, 5, 3, and 4.
We should probably take a quick minute as we're in a new season and it's Saturday, how we're a little bit different on how we handicap. And to me, point. This race is a good example where 7 to 5 and 8 to 1 is the difference between Seth's top choice and my top choice. And I think they're far closer in their probability to win the race. So I find 8 to 1 extremely attractive, and that's why it's my top pick. Now you tell them.
Well, you're looking at, here's how I'm going to bet the race.
Yes.
I'm looking at it.
Yes.
I'm trying to say, here's who I think is going to win the race. And so I may be with you as I get to the win. When I do the live show in the afternoon, it's a lot easier to kind of parse that out and explain it.
Yes.
Because sometimes you look up and all of a sudden the horse you like is 2 to 5, and the horse you think is right there is 8 to 1.
Right.
And the 8 to 1 is more attractive. But I'm looking more as to how I think they're going to come under the wire. And I do it that way because there's so many betting options. I don't know how people are going to bet exactly. And you might have a different strategy on a pick 4 than you'll have just for your straight win bet.
Well, the numbers say they're going to bet the pick 5.
Yeah.
That's what the numbers say. On to the fifth race on the indoor turf course with the rails up, entry-level allowance.
The one entry, 8, 7, and 3, transactional. And unit economics here going out for Chad and Klarovich. Unit economics has a little more recency, so I'd probably tilt in that direction. But Chad had one on the comeback yesterday, the day before, at a decent little price. I think it was yesterday at a decent little price. And transactional.
People say you can't get a Chad Brown horse at a price.
Yeah,
$13 or something.
Yeah. And again, that was one where over the first couple of days, I was kind of like, I should have maybe taken a better look at that one too. But transactional, a Kingman offspring for Klarovich and Chad Brown, and hasn't been seen in quite a while, but I won't be surprised with these connections if it runs well. But with the recency, unit economics is certainly playable. Samboro in the second spot off a good try last time for Mike Maker down at Belmont at Aqueduct. That was the third start back off isn't even these days a layoff, February to April, but third start back after the move from Florida up to New York. So I think in good form, and I would expect a good effort this afternoon. Ramble and Wreck in the third spot for me. Danny Gargan, trainee, off a seasonal debut that I thought was okay. Came from the clouds. You're always up against it, but maybe with a little fitness underneath, maybe gets into the mix a little bit earlier. In the fifth, one entry, 8, 7, and 3.
Now here's an example to me, because Seth has really laid it out for me how powerful the buyers are with the betting window. The 1 and the 6, based on like buyers and closest and anything, but the disparity in price is enormous. I love Greek Order in this spot at 8-1 for Bill Mott. The Man of War doesn't matter to me. That might have just been a foundation race. Now we get back to 8.5. I love Greek Order. On top, I have the 8 underneath for Graham Motion, and then I have Hunt Ball in here also for Bill Mott. I mean, the 1 is part of the mix, but it doesn't stand over these horses. And I think at 6-5, you're supposed to stand out or over, at least on paper in the morning. I think it's a tremendously well-balanced race. Ramblin', I mean, I think it's
and the number unit economics has the edge, but you said it yesterday. The turf numbers, you have to be a little.
I think even Andy Beyer himself has talked from time to time about how he's less vested in his turf numbers than his dirt numbers.
Sixth race this afternoon. We're looking at state-bred allowance runners. They're non-winners of one other than on the turf. They'll go quick, 5.5.
791, Mark Cassie and Irad Ortiz, Stolen Future, third start of the year into the cycle. Better, okay comeback, better in the second start, kind of working up. Now we shorten up because of the turf configurations. Stolen Future, my top pick here. For a second, Quick Power Nap, who is tremendous. Turf sprinting, never off the board. And then part of the entry scheduled to break from the number 4 post position. Mr. James Bond sends out the 1, 7, 9, 1.
1, 7, 10, and 8 for me. I put Tariga on top. I thought the Jim Bond runner was set up well in the third start back this season. Ran in January, but then laid off until April. And again, now is at a couple of starts and certainly seems to have come back, improved, and maybe improving as well. 7, Stolen Future in the second spot, third start of the season for Mark Cassie, off a couple of improving numbers himself. So herself. So this one, like the top pick, I think is primed for a good try again today. And making the second start of the season, Active Congress. Showed some speed before fading last time. If that one put a little fitness into the horse, maybe intriguing on the front end in here as well, if able to get to the front. But I'm looking, and seems like might be the speed of what we saw last time. So in the sixth, 1, 7, 10, and 8.
Okay, quick break. When we come back, the pick 6 starting race 7.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. One of the reasons I kind of laugh at the pick 6 starting in race 6, if you go back a long time ago, Seth, it used to end with the 8th race.
Yeah.
It was races 3 through 8 was the pick 6. And then they moved it to that it wrapped up at the end of the day. So we're starting at 2-year-olds, maiden special weights going 5.5.
I mentioned this earlier. I have the one on
Yes.
top, 1, 3, 6, and 7. It was my dark horse play of the day. Just quickly again, I think there's all kinds of win early breeding. The stats for the trainer are maybe a little more dicey, but as I say, I think well meant when they come up here. And so with that win early breeding, I'll take a shot with the 8-1 on top. Tough catch. Second spot, Tenacious Leader. The lone sibling to go, Tape Runner, just missed in the career debut, so maybe there's a little win early there. Paid a decent amount of money. There were some okay workouts. It's Todd Pletcher, Irod Ortiz, Tenacious Leader in the second spot. First from the dam, Sam's Rocket, so there was nothing to find on the bottom side. American Pharaoh on top, and they paid well over $900,000 for this Bill Mott, Frank Fletcher runner. So I would think they'll wind up with something. Will it show up in the first start? We'll see, but I have it 1, 3, 6, and 7.
I think it's a day years from now. I'm hoping that we'll be talking about when Dallas Stewart had 2 first-time winners. That's my hope. I'm 1, 3, 4 here, just guessing. I noticed you don't have Floodlights in your top 4. Very interesting. The Wesley Ward for Leal Stables, who is Barbaro, and Offspring of City Light. 1, 3, 4 in the 7th for me.
Race number 8 this afternoon. It's going to be maiden specials going 7 furlongs.
5, 3, 10. Escondido making the second career start for Mark Henning. Adds blinkers today after a very positive debut at better than 30-1. Upstanding of debut runner and Offspring of Curlin going out for Todd Pletcher. I think Curlin debuted at 7/8 down at Gulfstream Park.
I think it
was a brilliant performance.
For Helen Pitts, right?
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. And then Hurricane Nelson for third, but 5, 3, 10.
I have it 7, 10, 4, and 5. I put Commuted on top. Ken McPeak, second time starter from Gunrunner off a debut that was a pretty good looking debut. So again, you have Gunrunner on top, Ken McPeak, Brian Hernandez riding for Ken this afternoon. Manny Franco is going to be on board. Hurricane Nelson for Christophe Clement. Hard to argue with what we've seen so far. Clearly showing some talent. Last time out was in a little stakes race down at Gulfstream. That was last year. This is the kind that I always say, lightly raced, you get a little bit of a break like this, you can come back improved. And if this one does, watch out. And Reynolds Channel going out for Lee Einsiedler and Company. Saw Lee the other day. Bill Mott training and as again, looked okay in at least a few of the starts. And I think could be a player here, particularly on the cutback is interesting. In the 8th, that's Saratoga. 7, 10, 4,
Just
and 5.
a quick thought. Has Gunrunner slowed down? I mean, it's hard to imagine. It's like the old Sports Illustrated jinx. Well, it has to be a jinx. You put the team on the cover. They just went 17-2. They're not going to stay at that level. It's hard to imagine that Gunrunner would have stayed at that incredible bursting on the scene as a stallion.
It seems like most stallions who get off to a hot start like that, then because the breeders are looking for the next hot as they send their mayors. So,
that's why horses like Seeking the Gold, Stormcat, Seattle Slew, Uncle Mo, Tappet are, in the pantheon.
Yeah.
On to the 9th race on the Mellon turf course, the main turf course, the outer, 8.5 for optional claimers, 2X.
4, 8, 7, and 9. I'll put Magical Ways on top for Rudy. I thought at 12-1 on the morning line, I thought this horse was a player in with this bunch. I mean, if you look at the lines, you see some, bold names indicating these horses are kind of knocking heads with each other on different occasions. And I think this one is good enough to mix it up with these horses and maybe break through today at a decent price. Second spot, Irish Aces. Tried Stakes Company last time down at Churchill and ran okay. I think it's going to fit very, very nicely with this group and be perfectly logical in here. And Georgie W., seasonal debut, the 4-year-old debut was a pretty good effort. It was an improved number, so now gets to string a couple together, being lightly raced and signifying maybe improved as a 4-year-old. Georgie W. is interesting with IROD on board. I have it 4, 8, 7, and 9.
It's hard for me to imagine you can make the case that 2/3 of this field aren't highly competitive. And I've said this before, don't settle on 4-1 when it's that competitive. I'm shocked that Seth and I are similar because it is so wide open. But I went for Space Launch. I might be a day late, dollar short with Jose D'Angelo, but I had to send the picks in before noon yesterday. I have a good post position. Frankie Dettori wins the finale, but 5-4-7 in an incredibly tough race, in my opinion, balanced race, competitive race, the ninth.
We're going to take a break here?
I probably flew through the break. That was probably my bad. I'll take a quick break. When we come back, the final pick three.
For more than 4 generations, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued the 102-year tradition of delighting their local following and faithful summer crowd with the finest authentic Italian recipes. Classic Italian dishes made with the freshest ingredients, served in a home-like setting. Some things have changed in the last 102 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
The only thing better than watching the races is watching your own racehorse. With nearly 20 years experience in the racing industry, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program enables everyday fans to become part owner of a thoroughbred for far less than you might think, with all the ownership perks at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, and other great tracks. Experience the thrill and lifestyle of owning your own thoroughbred racehorse. Learn more at bonaventurestables.com.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're up to race number 10, scheduled to go off at 5:43. The Diana, one of the premier turf races for fillies and mares in the country now. The Beverly G, see if she can work her way back up. I think since the summer of Secretariat, they moved this to the turf. Only once have we had a horse pay more than 13-1. And let me get this part out, I'll say. I think the main turf course, on balance, is a fairer run for horses than the inner. Thus, I think that Diana should certainly be run on the main turf course. And the other is, and I know why they do and don't, but the rails should be down so I can trust the teletimer more for one of the biggest races annually in the United States. It should be run on the main, and there should be no rails. That being said, a great horse race.
4-10, 1-6 for me. I'll put Diddy on top.
We have 6 of the 10 covered.
She looked very good in that stake a couple of weeks ago, right up here. That was her second start of the season. She had a January start, but then came back in April. Keeneland ran okay in the Jenny Wiley, but really nice in the New York last time. So again, off of that, I just could not ignore that performance right here. So we'll put that one on top. Chili Flag. Hey, it's Chad Brown. Plenty of runners in here, and I think this one, coming off a stakes win a few weeks ago, right up here at Saratoga, also very, very playable. The start before that was a stakes win down at Churchill, so comes in so far 3 for 4 this year, having also won a stake 3 starts back at Gulfstream, so has a 3-race win streak and is perfectly logical. Moira in the 3rd spot, Queen's Plate winner a couple of years ago up at Woodbine. Last seen in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf, running very well. But the question mark is the fitness off the layup. It seems like the workouts up at Woodbine have been okay. I could point to 3 others in here and have similar confidence. But I'm 4-10, 1-6.
How could you toss Fluffy Socks, who's 15-1, Evie Jets, who's 20-1, with any confidence tossing them out? Good luck. My thought in this type of race is 2 things. Have an opinion and go forward, because there's too much here. So I have the 2 on top. All I'm going to say for me is, yes, we've lost as the chalk in 2 starts, but this is the 3rd race in the cycle. I thought had no chance the way the Just a Game Stakes was run. So, and I'm 8-1. I'm taking a chance here. I have White Beam underneath with Mission of Joy. I know I never beat Chili Flag, but What a great race. And I'm telling you, Fluffy Socks and Evie Jets, they're in it. They are in it. We have 6 of the 10 covered. I just mentioned 2 of the ones that we don't have covered. And I think if you're playing tries and supers, as yours truly is, they're a must-use.
Always glad to see this stake up here. As an Amsterdam guy, the Sanford, referring to the the old guard Sanford family from Amsterdam, going back, I was going to say decades, maybe
century.
Yeah. The Sanford today, grade 3 event, 175,000. 2-year-olds going 6.
5-1-2. 3 Echoes makes the 3rd career start here for Steve Asmussen. Actually, both of them I'm happy with. The Tremont was a uniquely run race, kind of an explosion by the winner who got a path on the inside. I'll take 3 Echoes, who I actually think ran well in the 2nd career start. The one from the rail, Todd Pletcher, ran a huge number on debut. And then Mr. Squeaky Wheels. Big price in here. Been down this road before with Mr. Rice. 5-1-2.
1, 5, 6, and 2. I put Menti on top.
Yeah.
It's just a phenomenal ding-dong battle in the career debut. Colloquial, unfortunately, they're looking for a rematch, but Colloquial had a little setback, and I guess maybe late summer or whatnot. But the Rapoli runner looked legit in debut, has to follow it up here. It's going to be tough going maiden special weight to maiden claiming, but a bunch of them are doing that. 3 Echoes does have that stakes experience for Asmussen. Studley Drew Rate, same scenario, not just stakes experience, but he won that stake. So he's going to be very tough in here as well. I have it 1, 5, 6, and 2.
Who was that filler that used to always blow the turn? Beautiful Pleasure. Kind of always blew the turn so the jockeys would know it and wait for her to blow the turn. That's what I thought when Studley Drew Right made the run. Wrapping it up, optional claimer, starter allowance, sprinting on the turf.
9, 7, 2, and 5. Going to put Rhythm Nick on top. Goes out for Mike Maker. Tried the turf last time, and it wasn't spectacular, but the number was okay. That was first off the claim. Now they moved down the claiming ladder. I think could be well spotted. 3-0 in the 2nd spot. Has some nice positional speed. Comes up from Gulfstream. In the hunt far more often than not. So certainly has to be in your mix. And Dr. Osarin gets a class drop for Christophe Clement. 3rd start of the season with the class drop. I think we go back to that first start of the season. If we get back to that, it could be very dangerous. In the finale, 9, 7, 2, and 5.
Boy, I think it's a wide open race, and I like a 12-1 shot very much. You see the 8 Playground Legend. I like the comeback race. To me, it was practice, warm-up, if you will, for this. 3-0, the 7 for 2nd, coming off of a big effort. That was on the synthetic. Gets Jose Ortiz, and then Dr. Osirian for 3rd. 8-7-2, wrapping up at about 650. A terrific first Saturday of the meet. So who do you tell the good people who
top of the hour? Graham Motion will join us. Again, he has a runner in that Diana. He has some other nice runners coming up this weekend at various venues. Also, we'll talk about some of his nice winners over the past few weeks and see if maybe that we'll look for them up here at some point. Be joined by Joe Bianca as well. Does the nice Rail Talk podcast, Popular Horse Racing podcast. And he's also part of the West Point team. And then we shall see. I have reached out for the 3rd, so it should be. Maybe it will just
behind
be
the
me,
curtain.
But we'll see at the third segment. But it should be a fun show.
Enjoy Saturday number 1, ladies and gentlemen. He stays, I go. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.
This has been the Handicappers Report, brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.